Tenebrous Tingles.
Welcome back to Tenebrous Tingles. And today we are in Delaware.
Not literally.
Not literally, unfortunately.
I don't want to be in Delaware. It's colder up there than it is here, and I don't want to be cold.
It's probably colder where I am than where you are.
I don't want to be where you are right now either. I don't like being cold.
Okay, well, no cold for you, but we're going to talk about Delaware.
Okay.
First, I actually have a personal story, like a personal experience story that I wasn't able to share in the last episode because I wanted to make sure I had, consent to do that.
Yes.
And I did get that. It came from the lovely Cass,
Hi, Cass.
I guess. And hers was odd. She said that there's a black orb that just floats around her bedroom. It's really visible. It's there, and she sees it mostly at night. It's just kind of hanging out there, and it just lingers around. And the only physical interaction that she's had with it is she swatted at it once and it charged her and she just got out of the way and that was it. So she just kind of tolerates it being there. When she does see it, it's not all the time. So she has that orb that hovers sometimes.
I would just assume that this is my new pet.
Fair.
Don't antagonize the cat.
Right. With the cost of rent or housing, just generally, we can get along with whatever is there. An orb that just sort of hovers, that's fine. Because what's the rent?
Yeah.
Reasonable.
Right.
I can't be too picky.
No. Does it come in other colors? Can you strobe with my music? No? Okay, well, I had to ask.
Well, she couldn't, touch it at all, so I don't think she gets to dress it up. It would be good to find out if bedazzling is an option.
Yeah. Glitter. This is my glitter orb.
Right? Just to, have glue ready to squirt on it and then throw loose glitter at it.
I feel like that would end badly. You'd end up with glue and glitter stuck to your floor.
Well, spoiler alert, glue and glitter is already stuck to my floor.
Fair.
Yeah, so it can't affect me negatively. So tell me a Delaware story, Zandi.
My first one is going to be the Long Cemetery and Catman's Grave in Frankfort, Delaware. It is a cemetery located in Sussex County. It is a very rural cemetery. You have to access it via dirt road. It's not really dirt, not quite paved. It's one of those kind of gravelly, sorta paved roads, and it's called Catman Road, and it's off of Route 113. So, according to local legend, the Catman was originally a cemetery caretaker who had cat-like features, either in life or described that way in local folklore. Not really sure. Maybe after death, he's just like, I would like my ghost to look like a cat. Kind of like I would like my ghost to be dressed in inappropriate clothing for the time period. And I'm going to clank around in a full suit of armor that I had to borrow.
I just need to be able to move things as a ghost.
Are we going to be cats and just slowly push the water glass off the table?
I mean, yeah, as long as I can move things to annoy somebody, that's really all I can hope for.
You don't want to just be like a sunflower colored floating orb that can dance to the music by pulsing your lights.
If that's an option, obviously, I'm going to also do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's your ghost. You can do what you want. In life, he was said to chase away teenage vandalism or teenagers bent on vandalism or people who are having parties in the cemetery, because that does happen. And as a goth teen, did I go to cemeteries? Yes. Did I vandalize anything? Absolutely not. Did I have parties in the cemetery? No. I would just go and sit there and be peaceful because we were respectful.
Yeah, I never did the party in the cemetery thing. Like, I would hang out there, but I would get really uneasy if the people that I was with were not being respectful. Like, I'm not
Yes.
with them.
No,
Like, no.
no. Me and you are going to go sit over here, and you guys can go over there and be haunted, and we're not even getting in the same car.
No. Right.
Yeah. So I like cemeteries because I think they're peaceful, and I find them calming in a weird way. I don't know. Anyway, I'm babbling. Um,
I think that it sounds different in a cemetery. Like once you step inside of a cemetery, everything goes quiet. And I've been told that that's not everybody's experience, but for me, like even like the bird song sounds different. Things just kind of get
muffled.
quieter. Yes, they get muffled.
Yeah, I have. That's how I feel about it too. Everything is kind of muffled and distant and quiet and peaceful, and that's why I like it. Um, so after his death, his spirit was said to continue playing this cemetery guardian role and still like scaring people out of the cemetery when they came in with a disrespectful attitude or bent on destruction, whatever. Um, there was an above ground tomb in the center of the cemetery for the Catman. However, this crypt was demolished in 1994 after it had been vandalized.
Oh no.
Yep, it's really sad. And they say also that if you knock 3 times on the brick wall that's surrounding the back of the cemetery, you might be able to summon him, and your car won't start as kind of a don't disturb him, don't irritate him, or he might make your car not start. So don't go knocking
Right.
on
So like
walls.
if you summon him, you get to not go home. That doesn't sound like a good reason to summon
No,
anybody.
it really doesn't. Just leave the man alone and let him do his job in peace. So visitors stated that uh, they felt watched or like they were being followed in the cemetery. There was this feeling of you don't belong here. You're not welcome here. You need to basically be respectful or you need to leave.
All
There,
visitors or just those who were there to do mischief?
I think it's just the ones that have these reports of feeling this. I don't know if they were there to do mischief or if they were just very sensitive or maybe he was just in a bad mood that day. I don't know, but this is what people say is that they have a feeling of being watched or followed. People are having car trouble or mechanical problems when they're trying to leave the site if they were somewhat disrespectful or too loud. People hear strange noises in the cemetery and in the woods next to the cemetery. They hear voices and they can hear things moving around, but they can't see anything. So originally, the cemetery was also referred to as the Armwell Long Cemetery, and it was connected to family land, so it started out as a family burial plot. And there's really no well documented proof of who the Catman supposedly was, or no name given for him, or what they mean by saying he has feline features. So I don't know about any of that. They say that if you go, you're quiet, you're respectful. It's a real play. It is a real active cemetery. So you want to follow the rules. You want to be a good human. Don't be that guy. They say that you shouldn't go alone if you go at night because that can make the eerie feelings worse. But I think that's true of anywhere you go alone at night. Some of the photographic evidence taken has shown blurry images or they don't turn out quite right, but there's never really anything terribly visible in the pictures. Like you don't see any orbs, you don't see a figure or anything, like no cats, nothing like that. But it does look often kind of misty or a little blurry when it shouldn't, like parts of it. So that's really interesting. So that's what I have about the Catman Cemetery, or also known
Okay.
as the Long Cemetery in Delaware.
Okay. So I looked at Pea Patch Island. It's Fort Delaware on Pea Patch Island specifically. And it was formerly a Civil War prison. So the stories that ended up coming out of it were not what you would expect it to be with that kind of history. It is now a state park and it's really beautiful. It looks really beautiful anyway. I'd want to visit it. I think that I end up saying that about most places I talk about. Like, oh, that's on my list now. They offer living history demonstrations in and around the fort, which I think would be really interesting to check out. And a super cute fact, supposedly the island was formed by pea plants that sprouted in the Delaware River, and then sand and silt just kept getting caught in the plants. It just kept building up, and it built up into an island, which is the source of the name. It is this really big, beautiful stone fortress on the Pea Patch Island in the Delaware River, and it was initially built for defense, starting in 1848. Construction was finished in 1868. This was not the first structure that was built on the island. The first fort was started in 1819, but it had burnt down by 1831. And there wasn't anything spooky about that first fire. It was just a stovepipe that came loose. But there's a well-documented story about how the fort's commandant, Major Benjamin Pierce, he got out safely when the fire started, but he rushed back into the flames to retrieve his recently deceased wife's coffin and body because he couldn't bear the thought of her burning with the fort. The fort was ultimately a complete loss, but he was successful in pulling his wife out of the fire. And I thought that was really touching.
It is, but also really sad.
Yeah, it's really, really sad. So the fort was rebuilt, bigger this time, and it still stands today on the same spot. It was built initially for defense, but it was used as a prison holding Confederate prisoners during the Civil War. It was meant to protect the ports of Wilmington and Philadelphia, but it never ended up being used in battle. It just ended up being a holding cell for all those prisoners. It held up to 13,000 prisoners at one point. So if you think about that, like we've talked about towns that had less people in them. So it kind of feels like a staggering amount of people for an island fortress, and that's not even counting the guards and their families. The fort was mostly abandoned when the war ended, but later was restored and opened to the public in 1951 as a state park. The fort is considered one of the most haunted places in the United States. No one has been scared by the experiences yet. They've rather just reported that they feel like what lingers there is calm and protective of the space. They're described as locals by the caretakers of the site. Rangers have heard footsteps echoing through the empty halls when they lock up for the night. The scent of pipe tobacco kind of lingers around what used to be the officers' quarter. And people have heard 10 cups clinking together when they walk through the prison cell area. There have been apparitions that have been seen, like a man in uniform saluting and then fading into the fog, or soldiers kind of appearing on patrol and then disappearing. Susan is the only named person that I found, and her shenanigans are usually in the kitchen area. She is seen as a lady in black, and this part's funny. She's apparently very protective of the pantry, especially disliking men being in that space. And she makes her dislike known by dropping utensils or pans, like they just fall or get slammed, or doors aggressively closing or opening and closing. Like she's active when the men enter, and the activity will increase when they speak. So when there is any activity, it's much gentler when women are alone in there. So basically, Susan is just not about the audacity of a man's presence in the first place. And, if they dare to talk on top of being there, she's just not having it.
Shush.
I also found a cat, which made me really happy.
I knew
Um,
there'd have to be a cat in one of these.
right. Bill the cat makes his presence known by audibly meowing. He pushes doors open and he rubs up against the legs of really lucky visitors. Unfortunately, I was not able to confirm, whether Susan was an actual resident of the fort through documentation. So I don't know anything about her life. But I did find proof that Bill was there. Cats were commonly kept in buildings like that to keep the rodent population under control. And Bill, like the documentation about him, was sort of passed down because he was especially beloved by a Union officer, Lieutenant A.G. Wolfe. And we know his name now. We know Bill's name now because it was passed down. It's documented that Lieutenant Wolfe didn't get along well with some people, but
Me too.
he, right, he really, really loved his cat.
Also, me too.
Yeah. There's a glowing blue man that has been seen and he shows up in pictures. No idea who that is. Children have been heard laughing in the officers' quarters. And there's even some stories of seeing and feeling a child tugging on clothing, like trying to get your attention before they just disappear. Most of the activity is in the evenings or on overnight stays. So you might not necessarily see anything on a tour, like in the afternoon, but there's a lot of stories that have come from this. And
Slumber party.
slumber party with Bill.
Yes.
And that was it. That's all I have for Pea Patch Island.
Okay. Cool. I love a ghost kitty. You know I do.
Right?
So my next one is actually a folklore. Um, it is Native American folklore. It is primarily a scene among the Wampanoag and Lenape peoples. It's called a Pukwudgie, and it roughly translates to person of the wilderness or little wild man. I'm not sure which is closest to the actual translation, but I find it really interesting because there are little people in a lot of various Native American cultures, like all over. The Choctaw here in the South have a version of a little person. The uh, wild little magical people, rather, like you've got them in you've got them in Ireland, you've got them in various other places too. So it's kind of interesting that they're something that you see in a lot of different cultures and a lot of different places. So they are primarily seen in Delaware, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. They are more closely, no, they are also seen in the Great Lakes regions, but they are especially linked to the Lenape traditions in Delaware. So they are a small humanoids. They are described as being about 2 to 4 feet tall. They look human like, but they have exaggerated features like large noses, ears, long fingers. Sometimes they are considered to be gray, ashen, or pale skinned. Sometimes they are described as glowing. Sometimes they're actually hairy, covered in coarse fur, or they have spines or porcupine like quills on their back. They often have glowing red or yellow eyes that are visible at night, more like the reflective shine that you see on some animals than something that like glows with its own light. Some people say that they kind of resemble a brownie or a gnome, but they're not really considered friendly. They are considered forest spirits that are quite powerful. They have been known to disappear and reappear at will, like kind of moving all over the place. They can shapeshift into small forest creatures, but especially porcupines. They use magic, usually fire or will o wisp type glowing orbs. They have been known to use these orbs to mislead travelers, to bring them off of paths, um, especially since wisps kind of have that idea anyway that they are. I don't know why anybody would follow them when the myth is don't follow the wisp because it's going to mislead you, but people apparently still do. Honestly, I would.
I would I would probably follow it.
What's that? Glowing light. Where are we going? Adventure.
Right. Like it mislead you where? Like maybe you're going somewhere really cool.
Yep. So they like to create confusion or illusions to mislead travelers. They do sometimes lure people into danger, such as cliffs and swamps. And
Okay.
some stories describe them as using little bows with poisoned arrows. So that's not great. Um,
Right? Would you follow though?
yeah, I'd still follow the
No.
will-o-wisp,
Yeah.
honestly. So it's just we
Okay.
know I would. I'd be like, hey, where are we going? Oh, it's a swamp. Okay,
I mean, in the right light, swamps are really pretty.
they
Maybe
are.
they wanted to show you this beautiful scenery.
I do have like a thing for kind of dark, creepy vibes. So I'd be like, ooh, yay, I like it here. So,
Right.
um, in the older indigenous legends, Pukwudgies were said to be neutral or a little mischievous, sometimes even helpful. But
Okay. See? Maybe
yeah,
they're helping. Maybe it's only the mean people that get misled.
maybe. But apparently, after some conflicts with humans over the last century or so, they've gotten a little bit more vengeful and malevolent. Um, they initially were only tricksters who would punish those who disrespected nature, but maybe people are seen as always disrespecting nature these days, so maybe that's why they're more cranky. Um,
I mean, some crankiness is definitely understandable.
yeah. So initially, it was more of a thing where they would steal food or various tools, or they trick people into getting lost in the woods or scaring them for fun. But
Look, if a wisp showed up at my campsite and turned into a pukwudgie, you don't have to steal anything. I'll give you my food.
yeah, hey, are you hungry? I mean, honestly, if a
Right?
porcupine wandered into my into my campsite, I'd just be like, "Oh, cute, hi."
I would be overjoyed. You can have anything you want.
It's like, can can would you like s'mores? Can porcupines have chocolate? I don't know, but either way,
You're gonna find out.
yeah. The Lenape people told stories of the small spirit beings inhabiting forests and swamps. They were said to bring good luck in certain places. They were said to be guardians of certain places. It really just depended on how respectful and how they were treated when you went into these special places. There are other names for these creatures among other oral traditions, but I figured just keeping it with this specific name would probably be best. They are known as Delaware's state cryptid.
Aw.
Yeah. So a
Does
lot of
every state have a state cryptid?
apparently most of them
Like a
have.
state bird?
I think so. Alabama's is Wild Thing.
Okay.
It's a white version of Bigfoot that's up near like the Birmingham Huntsville area, so it's not my area, but yeah, that's considered Alabama's cryptid. What's Wisconsin's, do you know?
No. I I would like to become Wisconsin's state cryptid.
Honestly,
Maybe there's an application process.
I'd vote for you.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
I'm gonna go be the scary thing in the woods.
I mean, live your best life.
Right?
So the there are actually modern reports about people seeing Pukwudgies. There have been sightings of small humanoids with glowing eyes in the forests, especially in South Delaware, Delmarva Peninsula, and the Freetown Fall River State Forest, which is in Massachusetts, is really famous as a modern Pukwudgie hotspot. are also tied to a lot of stories along the Appalachian Trail, including Delaware and Maryland. Um, Witnesses often describe eerie lights in the woods, whispers, and a feeling of being followed or getting lost when they know their way. They have also been seen in the Great Cypress Swamp and along Brandywine Creek and Red Clay Creek. They have been seen in the Prime Hook National Wildlife Refuge, although that is forest noises and strange lights. That is the story of the Pukwudgie. And what else do you have for us today, Eve?
Okay, so the last thing that I have is the Addie Sea in Bethany Beach, Delaware. It is a Victorian seaside inn. It was one of the area's original homes. Looking at the pictures, like if you haven't seen it, you should. You should go look at it. It is so pretty inside and out. The area is pretty. Like there's this blue bird wallpaper that I saw that I'm sort of obsessed with now. But all of it, like the furniture, the building, the beach, it's beautiful. And construction started on it in 1901. It was finished in 1902. A plumber named John M. Addy built it as a summer home for his family. And because of his working experience, the house was built with indoor plumbing and gas lighting, which was, not really that common. So it was one of the first structures in the area to have those things. And there's a really cool story about how it has survived. In 1927, there was a destructive coastal storm that caused the home to need to move. It needed to be moved to avoid being damaged. And they did that with mules, logs, and the strength of John Addy's sons. They refused to watch their home be taken by the waves of this coastal storm. So they rode the first wave out, and then they literally just rolled the whole block, the whole house about a block west. It took weeks. They moved it inch by inch, and they kept constantly checking the frame to make sure that it was, undamaged and straight as it was being moved. And as I say this is not a small house. It's 3 stories. It's got 13 guest rooms. Like, it's a big house. It worked because it came through that storm undamaged, while several cottages that were still too close to the coastline were just washed away. They were just taken. And when they made the decision to move it, it was right on the shore, and parts of the boardwalk had already been washed away. So waves had taken pieces of the ground from underneath it as they were working to save it. That move is credited as the reason that the Addie is still standing today. It made it through that storm and several others that have come after it over the years, while nearby structures were just destroyed or taken by the ocean.
Wow.
Right? Can you imagine, like, just logs and mules and just the kind of care that would take? Now it is a bed and breakfast, and the breakfast looks amazing. They also serve afternoon tea as a part of the experience, which I thought was adorable. I was really hungry when I was looking this part up. So I spent a pretty silly amount of time just kind of staring at the food pictures. Basically, we have to visit this one, Zandi, because
Okay.
they have tea parties.
I would like to go to a tea party.
I love tea parties. So the ghost stories,
Yes.
they don't really market it as a haunted location like we've seen some places do, but they also don't deny it like we've seen other places do. The owners just sort of embrace the stories as part of the inn. It's considered to be part of the inn's charm. Visitors describe the presence as soothing, like they're being watched over.
Oh.
I didn't find, yeah, it's really sweet. I didn't find examples of anyone being scared. And there's documented reports, like there's newspaper articles about it where the guests talk about, the hotel just likes being seen, and it's just people caring about it. So apparently, 3 rooms specifically have ghost stories associated with them, like several ghost stories, but the activity is not limited to only those spaces. Guests have reported hearing music playing in the ballroom when it's empty. Just about any room, people have been telling stories about how the beds sort of gently rock while they're in them, like they're floating on the ocean, like they're on ocean waves.
I want to be rocked to sleep by. Never mind. I don't. No, I don't think I want to be rocked to sleep by ghosts.
I mean,
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, I need more context,
Yeah.
but I'm not immediately opposed. I'll
That's.
say that.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll stay with that.
There's a caretaker that has been seen in the hallways going room to room, opening and closing doors to just check on things. There's disembodied footsteps and rocking chairs that are clearly empty, that are, you can hear them creaking, and different perfumes are sort of randomly smelled out of nowhere. Those last two things, like, they could be paranormal or they could not be, because, sounds travel in a weird way and smells just wander like that. So those you can just sort of read into what you will. The rooms, though, with the most activity are 1, 6, and 11. I'm saving 1 for last because it was my favorite. Room 6 frequently has organ music playing. The reason this is so weird is because there's no organ in the room, in the building, or in any nearby building. There is no organ. No specific song is mentioned in any of the documented reports, but it has been described as music of days gone by. To be fair, I think anything you play on an organ is going to sound a little bit old-fashioned.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, so just magical organ music with no explanation in one room. And room 11 is on the 3rd floor. It's considered to be the most active spot. It's mostly thought to be Paul Delaney, who was reportedly a handyman for the Addy family. I could not find the exact dates that he worked there. So whether it's really him or not, something is definitely still happening there. Guests say that they have seen a man sitting on the bed or standing near the bed. The bathtub jets in that room turn themselves on randomly. And electronic devices, like cell phones, but not limited to cell phones, they either malfunction, like this start glitching, or they just turn themselves off. And so my favorite was room 1. And it has a copper bathtub that shakes violently by itself for no known reason. Nothing else in the room is shaking or disturbed, only the bathtub, and often when someone is sitting in it, it just randomly starts shaking. And that just struck me as so funny. And
Yeah.
again, some of these things sound like they could be a little bit scary, but no one has felt scared.
I I might be a little scared if I'm in a bathtub and it starts shaking, but
Right, you would think that someone would be like, I'm out. That's scary and I'm done. But everyone's like, "Oh, I felt really cared for." So, okay.
okay. I
Yeah,
don't.
I thought that was funny. Maybe it's not like it says violently shaking. Like every report that I read said it's like really, really shaking. It's not like just shaking a little bit. It so yeah, I don't know how that hasn't been scary. I guess if you know that the bathtub has that feature,
I love that you describe it as
maybe
a feature.
yeah, well, maybe sure, vibrating bathtub. There's a market for that, right?
I'm sure there is. Yeah. Whirlpool tub. Yay. No. No, that's not what that means.
That's not what that means.
It's not what that means at all.
That is what I had for Delaware.
Awesome. So where are we going to go next time? Next time.
Mississippi.
I don't think that's true.
That's definitely not.
A, B, C, D, M. No.
The next one that we are going to is going to be Florida. So,
It's
I
not
mean,
East
the
Virginia?
living. What?
Well,
No.
there's a West Virginia.
So, I mean, Florida is weird enough with the living people. I bet there's going to be some very fun ghost stories there or cryptid stories. But really, I think the cryptid is just going to be the Florida man, right?
I mean, yeah, but we're going to have Florida Man as a special guest for Florida. We need to
Oh,
remind
that's
him.
right. Yes. We're going to call him Florida man through the whole thing, right?
We will probably not. He gets to decide his own handle.
Oh, okay, I guess so.
Yeah. So, but that will be
But we
our
could give
special
him
guest.
Florida man as an option for
We
his
can.
handle.
Yes, that is an option.
I'm going to tell him now to pick the weirdest name possible that he wants to be called.
Have you met him? Do we really want to say the weirdest name possible?
Yeah.
Based on what we know about him.
Yes. Yes.
So we will go and inform our friend of his duties, or remind him because he's already agreed to do this.
No takebacks.
No takebacks. So we will see you all next time with Florida. Thank you for joining us at Tenebrous Tingles. I'm Zandi.
And I'm Eve.
And we will see you next time. Bye.